Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Fandom. Today, we're going to be talking about a little bit of it's not serious per se, but it is a little bit less light than our other topics, and we're going to be talking about burnout. So, I know that people, like, I've seen a lot of talk lately on Tumblr specifically about people feeling burned out and just a little bit of a talk about what that is. So we're going to sort of delve into that today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is burnout and what it might look like for you. So I'm going to start out by defining it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sort of going to say what I personally feel it is, and it's not like a textbook definition or anything. But I feel like burnout is when you're sort of feeling really depleted and exhausted and like you don't have anything to give, specifically in this case to fandom. Like you're just you know done with it in general. Like you might not be like, I'm done, I'm quitting, but you just feel really like you don't have anything to give to fandom and you're really exhausted by it, and it's just sort of it doesn't give you the joy that it once did. Is that what you would say?
Yeah, totally agree. I'd say probably when you feel like you're done with it, like not really done forever, but like you can't take it anymore for a brief or long term. But for me, it's like when you're feeling like you're like done with your fandom or something related to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, did you want to go into some of the symptoms of what burnout looks like?
Sure. So it's burnout in general. It's like feeling tired or drained most of the time, feeling helpless, trapped, and or defeated, feeling detached or alone in the world, detached from reality, like in my opinion, having a cynical, negative outlook, self-doubt, uh, procrastinating and taking longer to get things done, or feeling overwhelmed.
Hmm.
But specifically about fandom stuff, it's like when you're feeling irritated by fandom itself or the okay, interaction with other people that normally wouldn't bother you, or feeling extremely negative about your own work. For example, I don't know, if you write fiction, if you make fan art, or your post in general. Not wanting to consume your favorite media, picking arguments or fight, like the easiest post or a thing that has been said, you get irritated or angry at someone, procrastinating on creating, again about fiction or art, fan art, and whatever. Feeling anxious when signing on to social media, and maybe wanting to leave the fandom altogether.
Yeah,
Did I say this
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Okay.
a great list. And I think, just one thing is that, you don't have to feel all of these symptoms to be feeling burnout. These are just, some common examples. And it might look different for you than it does for, the next person who's experiencing burnout. So it's very personal. And if you think you might be experiencing burnout, that's probably a correct gut feeling. So just sort of trust yourself and know that you don't have to experience every single symptom on this list.
Yes. These
Absolutely.
are just signs, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
if you're feeling things like that all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, it's something like you keep in mind that could be an explanation. if
Hmm.
it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's totally right. So next we're going to tell you a few things that we feel that you should remember when you're experiencing burnout or when you think you might be. These are just some little reminders that we think might be helpful to you.
Hmm.
So the first thing we want to tell you is that it won't always feel like this. There will be times when you're tired of fandom, and there'll be times when you really enjoy it, and maybe you'll choose to leave a fandom forever. Like, you just because you start in a fandom doesn't mean you have to stay there for the rest of your life. Fandoms will come and go with time, your interests will change, but your feeling of burnout isn't going to stay that way forever. It will leave eventually, and just sort of know that just because it's kind of sucks right now, it's not going to suck forever, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and just sort of look for that light and know that it's coming.
Hmm.
Yeah, so did you want to tell the next one?
Okay, so it's okay to take a break from the fandom or leave it if you feel like it's normal. Like it's not like a job or something. Like you need like an explanation or something. It's okay to take a step back and put yourself at first place for a second instead of the fandom, and that's it.
Yeah, totally.
And
I think that's a really great way to put it, is it's not a job. You're not committed to anyone or anything in fandom. You may make friends and you may enjoy them. And, just because you leave fandom doesn't mean you have to leave behind these friends. But it's totally okay to, just up and leave one day. You don't have to write anybody a resignation letter. This is about you, and your fandom experience should be your number one number one commitment.
yeah, probably most likely you don't even need to give an explanation to anyone in the fandom why. Maybe to your friend, yes, if you want to, but I don't feel like you need to explain why you want to leave or take a break or whatever you feel like. It's a group of people, and if they are your friends, they will understand if you feel like
Definitely.
that.
Definitely. So the next point is, if you experience burnout, it doesn't mean you're a bad fan. You know, it's okay to experience negative thoughts about something that you like. Like, I'm sure that we all have, like someone in our life who we love to death, but at times they piss us off. Fandom is
Mhm.
like that. Fandom can sometimes piss you off, and that's okay. You're not a bad fan for thinking negative thoughts about a show you like or a book series you like. You can have whatever emotion you want about these things that you enjoy, and even there will always be people who say, "Oh, you're a bad fan for doing this," but ignore those people, because
Yeah.
usually those people are just sort of trying to stir the pot a little, and they don't really care about you as a person.
Mhm.
So always keep that in mind.
Yeah. And if I may add something, it's
Go ahead.
probably you're not a bad friend if you want to leave a fandom. Like, it's not like it's something personal to the other person in the fandom. It's
Hmm.
just you. It's your
Yeah.
life. It's your health,
Yep.
after all.
Absolutely. That's totally true. Okay, so tell everybody the next point.
As we just it's just a fandom. Like, as we said, it's not a job. It's uh, just a group of people that has something in common, a
Mhm.
show or whatever. So you don't have to do anything in particular to take a step back, to take care of yourself.
Yeah. It's not life and death.
Yeah,
That's sort of what it comes down to. It's not life and death.
yeah.
This is
It's
just fandom.
yeah, it's just like an hobby in some kind of way. Like you can try something new, but if you don't feel that's the right thing for you, it's normal to say no. That's not for me. That's
Mhm.
not what I want to do. or not what I want to do anymore, and
Mhm.
that's okay.
Excellent. And the final point we want you to remember is you are not alone. Fandom is a very wide space, and at any given moment there is somebody who is experiencing exactly what you're experiencing, who's feeling exactly the way you feel. And even if you can't find who this person is, know that this person is totally getting what you're going through, and you're not going
Yep.
through it alone. And if you reach out and say to somebody, "Hey, this is what I'm feeling," chances are they'll know what you're talking about, or they'll know somebody who does know what you're talking about, and they'll be there for you. So it's always okay to reach out and ask for help.
Yeah. Or probably someone who felt that way in the past, that maybe took a break from the fandom, but it's again into the fandom because they passed, if I can use this term, that moment. Like they were feeling burnout, they took a break, a step back, they worked on themselves, and then they are back in the fandom because they are feeling better. So they
Mhm.
can give you like advices or something, help
Yeah,
you.
yeah. There's lots of I'll use the term a little flippantly, but lots of survivors of burnout in the fandom.
Yeah, so I
Excellent.
agree.
So, the next thing we're going to discuss is we're going to talk about ways to fight burnout, ways to sort of combat it, ways to
Mhm.
get over the hump, so to speak.
Yeah,
Okay, so
okay.
what's point number one?
Our advice is to consume different media.
Hmm.
So, okay, if you want to give an example, feel free.
Yeah. Um, you know, there's lots of just because you can sorry, oh, my thoughts are a little jumbled here. So what I'm
No?
trying to say is, there's lots of medias out there that you can consume. Like if you're tired of watching this show, you can watch another show, you can read a book, you can watch movies. There's plenty of media out there for you to consume. And just because you consume this media doesn't mean you have to get involved in its fandom. You can just consume it for the joy of consuming it.
Yeah. Or maybe like if you are tired maybe of uh, how people, like in my opinion, is an idea that just jump up in my mind. But if you are tired maybe of the reaction of some people in your fandom, like maybe I don't know, for example, on social media or in on a website, you can always look for other fans on another website if you don't want to detach, if I can use this term, from the fandom yet. If you want to try to stay in the fandom because you can feel like you don't want to leave it yet, you can try to connect to other people in a different way.
That's great advice. And that brings us into point number two, which is
Yes.
take time away from fandom altogether. You know, consume
Yeah.
media without devoting yourself wholeheartedly to fiction and fan art and all that stuff. Just, enjoy something for the sake of enjoying it, and, see where that takes you.
Yeah, precisely. After all, like an episode, it lasts like maximum, what's that, like 50 minutes maximum.
Hmm. Yep.
So just enjoy those minutes and that's it. Then you can go back to your life and whatever. If you still like the show or whatever you are into, and just use it like as a way to pass your time.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Great. So, next point.
Should I go?
Yep.
Okay, talk about it with people you trust. Like if you feel like you are not doing okay, you are not the one you used to be. Talk about it with someone you trust. It can be like someone from your family, your parents, your brother or sister, cousins, best friend, or whatever.
Yep. Definitely. I think. in fandom, we sort of hide that we're in fandom because, I think in a lot of circles there's still a little bit of shame around it.
Hmm.
But so I think there's this tendency to isolate ourselves, but I think that, it's not great for your mental health to hide a part of yourself. I think we should all strive to be more open about it and, talk to the people that we care about. And, especially when we're experiencing a negative emotion such as burnout.
Hmm. Yes, I totally agree.
Excellent. So, our next point is be kind to yourself. Um, I think we're people as a whole tend to be our own worst critic. And I don't think that's healthy for our self esteem to always be so down on ourselves. And I feel like this is especially true when you create something like, fan fiction or fan art. We always see how we're failing, we're always seeing what we could do better. And so I think it's really important to take a step back and be like, okay, how can I treat myself better? And this doesn't have to be like this whole like self-care fad with bubble baths and, organic smoothies. It's just treating yourself nicely. Treat yourself the way
Yeah,
you want others to treat you.
yeah, I totally agree.
Great.
Okay, should I go with the next point?
Yes, please.
Okay, so point number 5 is consider an internet detox. Nowadays, with smartphones and different devices are constantly on internet, like I don't say 24/7, but pretty much. Like you just press a button and you are on the internet. Like from me, who I'm from the 80s, and probably also for you are who are from the 90s. Like we have there is not much difference between us. In the past, it was much different. Going on the internet, you needed like wires, laptop, and everything. Now, a smartphone, even smartwatch nowadays, can go on the internet. So probably you just have to like turn off your data at all, use the internet when you really need it, not just to look maybe for info or whatever. Just consider like it as if it's like a premium thing, like you have to pay to use it. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's easier for us who can understand the problem back in the days. But yeah, that's what I don't know. I'm feeling very old when I say this, but I don't know. This is my advice.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's there's so much information bombarding us that that's part
Hmm.
of the problem is that we feel like we constantly need to stay updated. And
Yes.
you know, there's constantly fan fictions being added to archive of our own and everything. So, it feels like we really need to stay on top of it. But, this information, these fan fictions, everything's going to still exist,
Hmm.
24 hours from now. So,
Yeah.
it's okay to could take a step back, for, a day or a couple hours or even a week if
Hmm.
you're feeling really inspired to challenge yourself and just, sort of trust that you're not going to miss out on anything crucial.
Yes. Or maybe simple, just if you want to like not use the internet for a while, you just can simply turn off the notification on your phone. For
Mhm.
example, like now it's you can have notification for Facebook, Twitter, Google Alert, or whatever you use. Just turn them off so you don't feel the pressure like there is something I need to be updated on. I need there is something I really need to know. Just like it's not nothing like crucial, like you could die if you don't.
Yeah.
Just take a break, take
Yep.
breathe, like
Yeah.
don't. Okay, so I
Great.
guess it's time for the new point.
The next point is try getting some exercise or going outside. So, exercise, of course, we all know is great for us. But I think, especially people who are engaged in fandom, they tend to be indoors a lot. They tend to be sitting a lot. So, if you're feeling burned out, even just like a 5-minute walk around the block is going to,
Hmm.
give you a nice reset button. And the more exercise you get, the more you're going to feel better about yourself. It's science.
Yeah, precisely.
Great. Next point.
Okay. Uh, well, the next point is try a new hobby. Uh, Either fandom related or not. Like it could be, I don't know, maybe painting, reading, or even running, whatever you feel like you'd like to experience. Maybe just for a try, just a lesson or whatever, just to do something different out of the routine. Something that you feel good for your mind, for yourself.
Yeah, that's great. I think that that's like a really great way of putting it is, I think that a lot of us have this thing like, oh, I'd love to try X, but I don't have the time for it.
Hmm.
And so, by taking a break from fandom, maybe you're making a little bit of time. You're carving out this space that you might otherwise have been spent writing fan fiction or making fan art. And you can, try knitting or something that you think you might be good at, something that might bring you joy. And, know that just because you try it doesn't mean you have to stick with it forever.
Yeah.
And, it can just be like a little test run, just something to sort of rewire your brain a little.
Hmm.
And it maybe you regularly write fan fiction, you want to try making some fan art for a change. Even that can be helpful if you don't want to leave the fandom entirely, but you're tired of experiencing X, you try Y.
Yeah. Yes.
So our next point is try meditation or practicing mindfulness. So I know that there's a lot of scientific studies about meditation. I can't quote any of them off the top of my head, but meditation, we know for a fact that it's really good for you. Um, and it's really great at calming your nerves, and it's great with anxiety and depression and things like that. So, try meditating, or if meditation, you don't want to sit still for that long, things like when doing a coloring book, doing like a word search is mindful. Practices like that, mindful eating, taking a mindful walk, all of those practices are really great for you. And I think that you'll really see some benefits if you try incorporating it into your routine for like a week or something.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Great. And do you want to talk about our next point?
Yes, journal about it, which is, in my opinion, a great way to, if you don't trust anyone, maybe you can just journal about it. Talk
Definitely.
to yourself as if you were another person, maybe,
Hmm.
and write it down. And maybe in the future you could go back to those phrases, those pages, or whatever you wrote, and understand if you were feeling better or worse than you are feeling in the moment you read. And maybe, I don't know, you can understand what's going on in your life, like it's always getting worse or it's keep getting better. And you it's a great way to understand a little better, maybe, or try to understand what's going on in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's excellent. I'm someone who kind of hates journaling, but
Hmm.
I made a goal earlier last year that I was going to start journaling and I was going to stick with it for a while. So I still don't like it, but I found that once I started the habit, it was actually quite helpful to, just write down exactly what was on my mind. And it doesn't have to be for long. I just do like a 5-minute stint and I write down exactly what's in my head at that moment. And it's sort of like, um, in a way, this is kind of a gross comparison, but a way it's like peeing. It's like you've got a really full bladder, and then you go pee, and then it's a relief. So it's sort of like emptying your mind bladder.
Hmm. Yes, it's a great example.
Mhm. And our final point is make a list of the things you enjoy about fandom. So this is, I think it's a really cool thing to do. You can write it in your journal or write it on a poster on your wall or something, and just make a list of things that you get out of the experience. And if you're ever in another situation where you're feeling burned out, you can go back and look at this list and be like, oh, these are the things that give me joy about this experience. So, I'll take a little break and I'll come back and I'll get these things again. And
Yeah.
it sort of like serves as a reminder, because if you're in fandom and you start, noticing that you never feel these things anymore, that's a good sign that it's time to leave altogether.
Yes. Maybe talking about making lists. Also, if you are debating whether you have or you should leave a fandom for either for a while, for a long, short, forever, doesn't matter, making a list of pros and cons about that fandom. Like
Mhm.
if there are more things in the cons, maybe it's time for you to uh, leave for days, weeks, months, years. I don't know. It depends on you. No one can say when it's the right time to go back in the fandom or how long you should leave it. It's up to you. It's
Yeah,
uh, it's not like a vacation that has an let's call it expiration date.
yeah,
It's something about you. Maybe you decided to leave it for 10 days, but after 5 days you feel like you're done and you can go back. Or maybe you decide to leave it for 1 week and after 5 months you're still out and you are feeling better. That's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. Nothing is gonna go find you because you left the fandom or whatever.
yeah. That's
It's
great advice.
okay.
Great. So the next thing we're going to talk about is a little more serious. We're going to talk about what it means, or what it looks like when something bigger is going on. So, personally, I feel that burnout is actually, sometimes a sign that you might be experiencing stronger mental health issues, namely depression. Specifically because one of the symptoms of depression is that you don't get any pleasure out of things that you normally
Hmm.
do enjoy, or things that normally interest you. Um, so that sort of should be a little red flag in your mind, but not on its own. If you're just experiencing a burnout in fandom and that's the only symptom that you have, that's probably just burnout. That's okay. But some of the the symptoms of depression that you should be looking out for are feelings of sadness, emptiness, or hopelessness, outbursts of anger, irritability, or frustration, sleep disturbances like insomnia or sleeping too
Hmm.
much, a lack of energy or extreme tiredness, reduced appetite and maybe even losing weight, or increased food cravings and possibly gaining weight,
Yes,
anxiety, agitation, or restlessness, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, and recurring thoughts of death or suicide.
yes.
So all of if you're experiencing quite a number of those, or if somebody has pointed out to you that, they're noticing these symptoms in you, it's it's probably time that you should seek help. Um so um Personally, I when was severely depressed, I didn't notice it in myself. Somebody else noticed it in me, and they told me that I should see my doctor. So that's usually like the first place you should turn in this situation is go to your family doctor or a walk-in clinic, or if you don't have access to a walk-in clinic, go to the emergency room and tell them what you're experiencing, and that's usually when you're going to get help. Um, uh, any other advice on seeking help?
Well, it's hard because, well, I'm feeling like I'm experiencing it
Hmm.
uh, myself lately, so I know exactly what's going on. It's the feeling like, but taking a little step back, I feel like depression is like an iceberg. If
Hmm.
making sense, like figuring it out, and what you see in yourself or maybe someone else is just the top of the iceberg, like it's like the 10% of that person. The 90% is hidden, either if the person really wants to hide it from you, or intentional or not. So you really should go deep in, especially in my opinion, about yourself.
Hmm.
And anyway, maybe if you are not feeling well as a person with problem with trusting people, is try to talk about it with someone you really really trust. If you have someone, like I have one person in the whole world, and she's the one I would talk to. But if there is no one else, maybe also just googling your symptoms can
Hmm.
help you. Like maybe you don't understand that it's actually depression, but if you google it, maybe it's something like that can clarify your ideas, and maybe talk to an expert, either a
Yep.
doctor or I don't know, like a psychologist, or someone else. I don't know, it depends also on the country where you live. And nothing, ask maybe if you trust them, your parents, or your relatives, your neighbors, whatever you can trust in general.
Yeah.
Also, in my opinion, it will be the classical excuse, oh, a friend of mine feels like that.
Yep.
What should I say to her? What can it be a great advice if you don't feel like it's time for you to open up about something? Like
Hmm.
this is something I did, so there is nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Then I don't know, and that's what I'm feeling like to say.
Great. Another great point is if you don't have anybody in your life that you feel you can turn to, there's lots of great places online you can go, like
Yes.
or phone people you can hotlines you can call. Sometimes there's text chat lines you can text. There's chat rooms on the internet. Look for resources. Like she said, when you Google stuff, you'll probably find a list of crisis places you can turn to, and those are great places to start. And they'll tell you like who you should turn to next, what your next steps should be, and those are great resources to take advantage of if you don't have anybody in your life that you can talk to about it.
Yes. Maybe there are also chat rooms, I guess, on the internet. Like on the internet, there is literally anything you
Hmm.
can imagine, and even more. So maybe you don't find someone who can help you, like someone who studied to help you, like with maybe with medication or medical advice, but maybe you can find someone who could tell you with which path you could walk. Like for example, someone who felt like that way before, say, well, for me it was very useful. Maybe this website that where there are psychologists you can talk to, or a friend of mine is a psychologist, and you can talk to them, or you can meet someone by chance who is not that far from you, can give you advices about a great psychologist, or helpers, anyone who can help you about that. Uh, so just use the useful part of the internet in this case, useful in the meaning of solving your problem about
Mhm.
that. And of course, there are people who may say, "Oh, I have the solution. I did like that." No, if it's not a doctor, no. I feel like I would say don't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Mental health is definitely something that you should get a doctor's advice on. There's people who swear by naturopathic remedies. We're not going to get into that whole debate, but it's just we suggest you talk to a medical professional.
yes, yeah, and trust. If I may add something,
Yep.
if you see someone like a psychologist or a therapist or whoever, trust your guts. Like,
Mhm.
as a personal experience, if you feel like you can't trust or you can't connect with someone who you should open up with, don't continue. Like,
Mhm.
it's something you shouldn't do. It's something like, it's like a feeling, if
Mhm.
I may say so.
Yep.
Um, if you feel like, okay, I can trust to be totally open and honest with them, okay. If you feel there is something that isn't convincing you for some reason, maybe it's something silly, but it's your health, your mental health, even, which is probably more important than physical health, because physical
Yep.
health, like, you can easily spot there is something wrong, but mental health, no, you can hide it like for a really long time.
Mhm.
So trust your feelings about that. That's what I may say.
Great
I don't know if
advice.
you agree or not.
Yeah, yeah, it's great advice.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else to say on the topic?
No, I think I've said even more than I thought I would. So,
Great.
yes.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We hope you got some useful information out of this, and we hope you share this one because I feel like this is something that a lot of people may be struggling with and don't even know it. So
Yeah.
feel free to share this. We'd love that.
Yeah.
We hope to see you tune into our next episode. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. See you.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.